Hi guys, Jim Bounds at Motorhome Rehab Ranch, where we investigate GMC motorhomes. If this is the first time you've been here, it's a little odd. It's a pretty niche business, you know. But if you're interested in GMC motorhomes, we can help you out. This is our QR code that goes to our Patreon website. They call it a website. Patreon site where we have our database. When you go to the site, this will take you to it. Hit collections, scroll down, and you'll see a good selection of our database. It's all free. Well, today we're going to talk about, and this was a request from one of my ranch hands. He has a Coachman, a Royale, Coachman Royale, and it has two roof airs, one in the front, one in the back. It's a rear bath unit. Has a roof air in the front and the back, but the back air conditioner will only work when the generator's running. Right. And if you have a Coachman model, either a twin bed or a master bed or a rear bath, it's like that. Pay attention here because this is the wiring diagram that they have. And you guys that have GM floor plan, this won't mean a whole lot, but you'll see how goofy their wiring was, uh, and how happy and how lucky you are. All right. So here's the deal. Follow me with this. We all know that the main loads for your 110 AC system is your 12 volt converter that creates 12 volts that charges your battery, your outlets, your microwave, and your roof air. Okay, and on the front roof here. Now, this original circuit and the shore power that the Coachman units have is 30 amp. It's not 50. This was the key because at that time, Coachman, everything they were building was 30 amp. In the 78, there were a few of the very last units that were plumbed with 50 amp. But most all of them were 30 amp, and on 30 amp you can only run one roof air traditionally. Okay, but our generator over here is a 50 amp generator. So what did they do? They put a small breaker panel. It's usually in a closet or somewhere like that. There's a single breaker on that thing, and what it does, it powers the rear roof air conditioner. But you see, it only works on this because everything over here is 30 amp. It's only designed for one roof air. You follow what I'm saying? So the question was, how do I modify this wiring to have both roof airs come on at the same time? Now, traditionally you should not do that on a 30 amp service because you should have the roof air, its own roof air on at least a 20 amp service. So to take the rear roof air and just wire it into this thing, not a good idea because you'll overload it. Now, the new roof air conditioners are very efficient. And it's possible that you could do that and get away with it and not blow breakers. But my question was, how do I effectively do it? And do it with as the least amount of modifications as possible. All right. Well, who said these were cheap? So I can't guarantee you that it's going to be cheap, but it's going to be correct. Okay. Now, first situation is we have the roof air conditioner over here. We have a 30 amp line cord coming into the transfer switch. The generator comes into the transfer switch, and you got a breaker. You go one or the other. One is your shore power, and the other is generator. Well, guess what, guys? You can't buy that anymore. Yeah, so many people said, well, I don't know what that is, take it off, and they flipped them at the same time, and we had a smoke test. So we have to protect ourselves from ourselves. That's something you cannot replace. So right now, if you're working with your electrical system, right now is the time you need to update it and modify it to where you can repair it and maintain it. And somebody else can look at it and work on it for you. So this transfer switch right here, the whole circuit. Now you can say, well, how do I do that down there? When you look at your breaker panel down below, you'll see that breaker in there that goes back and forth. Well, coming out of that is this line here and that line. We're going to do something else. So let's get rid of this transfer switch right here. I'm going to take that out. No longer going to have a transfer switch. You're no longer going to have to bend down there and flip those breakers for generator or shore power. All right, so what we want to do is we want to add an electric transfer switch. Right there. A 50 amp transfer switch. Go up on Google and look at them. You want one that is passive. It's passive on shore power, and then it kicks or is active on generator. They have a couple of different versions. So we put a transfer switch here. Now this line right here, this line is a 30 amp line. Well, we're not going to do 30 amp. We want to switch this out to a 50 amp. Now the 50 amp is 1, 2, 3, 4. 50 amp service. Now, if you do run into in this situation that you need 30 amp, well, you can plug a dog bone into there. You follow a 50 to 30 amp dog bone. But we're going to wire this now 50 amp. All right, now coming out of the outlet, you're not going to be able to put the outlet where the original one is on the outside of the coach because they don't make 50 amp, they call them motor drive or something like that. You're going to have to put a box inside the generator compartment right there on the side, put a box and put a 50 amp 4-prong plug right there. Okay. And coming out of it, you're going to have 50 amp cable going to the transfer switch, which is in the back. That's going to be a short cable. You can use 8 gauge 4 conductor SOW wire. Very flexible, multi-strand stuff, real nice. But you're going to have to come from this outlet to the transfer switch. And this generator, 50 amp into the transfer switch. Make sense? Now, coming out of the transfer switch, let me move this breaker panel over. We're still going to use the breaker panel. Let me move it over a second. Coming out of the transfer switch, we're going to have 2 legs. You guys have GM floor plan. You've got a red leg. You got a red leg and a black leg. Well, I'm getting fancy with all these colors, huh? You got a red leg and a black leg coming out. So in other words, you have 2 circuits, 2 20 amp circuits, and one of these 20 amp circuits needs to go to this, and the other 20 amp circuit needs to go over here to this, all this other stuff. So what are we going to do? We're going to come out. Now we don't have to go 50 amp because it's normal 12 too, but we're going to come down. We're going to hook this. Excuse me. Get rid of the red. We're going to hook the rear AC to one leg of the 50 amp. Make sense? And then the other leg of the 50 amp is going to go to the original wire that came down here, and you're going to run it directly into the fuse box. You're going to bypass the old transfer switch and all the stuff that's in there. And that line is going to feed this original 30 amp breaker panel. So you've got one leg going here and one leg going here. You're on a 50 amp surface now. You only need to have 50 amp cable, big cable here and here. If you were in a 30 amp situation, like I said, you get a dog bone. You plug the dog bone in to 50 and it goes down to 30. And so you have a dog bone. That way you can still run 30 if you want to. And if you have really efficient roof air conditioners, you may be able to run them both because that would be a 30 amp service. But now you're wired for a 50 amp service, and 50 amp service is correct for running 2 roof airs and accessories. Does that make sense? So what are you gonna need to do? You're gonna bypass this transfer switch and all the stuff having to do with it, and then you're gonna turn this into just a breaker panel with a 30 amp input. And if you want to get into this, give me some pictures of what you got. Text me the pictures and give me a call, and we'll do it together. You're going to move the transfer switch back here. Oh, one thing I forgot. Let me show you. Remember that box that was back here? There was a box back here. Had one breaker in it. Originally for the roof air. Well, that one goes into here. And that goes back into there. So you have a breaker. It's usually a 30 amp breaker. You have a breaker right there going down to here. You notice we're not bringing the second leg over to here because this wire is already there. Now remember, we abandoned this wire over here. Remember that one that went into here? We abandoned this 30 amp wire. We won't need it. But this one we reused and it went over to here. Make sense? Remember, the goal here was how can we make this thing stable at 50 amps, the least expensive way to do it. And running wires is a labor, and labor is the money-sucking pig of the world. And the large wires are more expensive, so the short runs of the large wires is what you really want to do. All right, well, I hope this has been a little bit helpful. If you want to go more into this and you have a Coachman, give me a call. And if you have a GM floor plan and you have other problems, I can deal with that too. But this was specific because we got several Coachman people out there, and you like to have that roof air work off the main circuit. All right. Well, look, thanks for your time. If you feel this is of any value to you, or anything in your GMC experience, get involved. Become a ranch hand. Help us out here. It's $5 a month. You can go to the front page and it shows you how to do it. If you're on YouTube, just shoot this and it will take you right to our front page. All right. Well, look, thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. And we'll see you again. Give me a call if you have any ideas or things that you want to know about. This helps me to do videos. This goes into the database. This will go into the database on electrical and living area electrical systems and some other places. So you'll see this in the future. All right. See you guys later.